Morning, it's Wednesday the 23rd of March 2022. Next episode of Lay the Draw. I just want to start off by making a couple of apologies from the outset. Firstly, yesterday's video where I analysed one game for the Strategy 3. I do apologise how long it went on. I hadn't realised I think it was about 40 minutes in total. I try and keep them quite a bit shorter than that, to be honest. But it was just the first time I'd gone through a game in detail, so apologies for the length of that one. If you made it through to the end, thank you very much. Secondly, the second issue is the sound quality on these videos. I'm sitting using a cheap £8 microphone, and I do need to look at some other solution that I'll be doing that in the next week or two. I just need to get some time aside. I know nothing about all this recording stuff and the quality and stuff, but I do realise it's not the best quality because obviously, well, I am assuming it's because of the naff crappy microphone I'm using. It was I think £8 a few years back on Amazon. So anyhow, that's those two out of the way. Let's get cracked on with today. So yesterday I picked out 10 games. You can see them here on the screen, and we had quite a successful trade for all 10. If we'd gone the Strategy 2 route, which we did all last week and lost money, we would have been £12.50 up if we'd laid £2 on every game against the draw. These are the odds here. That's the favourites odds, that's a favourite, as you can see. They were just theoretical because I didn't lay them for Strategy 2. I laid them on Strategy 3. And as you can see, for Strategy 3 we actually won all 10. Because what we do there, even the one that lost there, which was a 1-1 draw. Yeah, they're not formatted correctly, apologies. Not sure what that score was, I'll have to find that out. This one was ones each, that's why I lost. This format goes up, the format is a date for some reason. Sometimes all we're putting a score in. So that was 1-1, and this game was either stayed at 2-0 or 3-0, I believe. Just bear with me a second. Who was that? Wrexham. What did that finish? Finished 3-1 actually. So it's ones each in the second half. Okay, that's more like it. That's better. Right. So yeah, this game here finished. The Kidderminster game finished 1-1. Kidderminster were favourites to win that. Yeah, I think they did go ahead. I'm just checking that now. Actually, yeah, that was it. Kidderminster went ahead in the 67th minute, but then Charlie had already had a player sent off in the 59th minute, but they still managed to equalise in the 77th. I haven't bottomed out the exit strategy for TS3 yet. Well, other than if there's a goal. Sorry, I have bottomed out the exit strategy if there's a goal. I'm just getting straight out as soon as there's been a goal, regardless of what time in the game it is, and whether, even if it's the favourite or the home team or the away team or the underdog. I'm not really fussed. I'm just getting out when there's a goal. So that's what I want to do initially. So I don't need to do too much thinking about it. The only time I do need to think is when it's 0-0 near the end of the game. At the moment, I'm just having no exit policy. I'll just lose the liability. So if there hadn't been a goal in this game, for example, on TS03, on Strategy 3, I would have lost the £5.50 as well. So the only way we can lose on Strategy 3 at the moment with that entry and exit strategy is if the full-time score is 0-0. And as you can see, last night we didn't have any 0-0s. So it went in our favour in that respect. So you can see I won every single trade here. I'm going to show you the figures for that based on strategy 2, getting us £12.50. And then I've got a little story about this first game, which I've got a V there for void, because I've done something wrong. And I'm blaming my mobile phone again. Anyway, if I unhide this section here, you can see the profits for strategy 3. And you can see they're a lot less because we're only taking out a percentage of what the £2 were laying in the first place. That was taken. The only time we would get the whole £2 is at the end of the game if our lay bet wins. So there's no real way we can get exactly £2 out of this, unless the goal was, even if the goal was scored in like injury time. I still don't think you'll get the £2 it would be. Mind if the goal was scored in injury time, whether I had time to cash out or not is another story. So just the story behind this top game here. Actually, I put all the bets on about 7 o'clock. And then I went back into, I don't know why, for some reason it was about 20 to 8 just before the games kicked off, just making sure I think I went into Betfair on my mobile phone because I wasn't sat at the laptop. And I just checked through to make sure I had 10 bets on, because you can see in the cash out on the mobile app that you should have 10 in there. And I had 11. And I was thinking, how on earth have I got 11? And I checked back on my laptop and I only had 10 bets. So I went back on my mobile phone and I had a little Betfair account and I still had 11. And I checked through them all and I had this Plymouth-Cheltenham game twice. And what I'd actually done, that around, you can see your bet history, it was around, I think it was 5 to 7 o'clock. I'd put the lay bet on the draw, and then for some reason at about 25 to 8 there was another bet there for Plymouth. I think I'd laid Plymouth, so when I looked in the actual live play at about 10 to 8, I could see that the only way I was going to win any money on that one is if Cheltenham won. And because Cheltenham were the underdogs, I thought, well, I don't really want to let all that ride, and rather than unravel it and do some, like laying or betting to like cancel it out and minimise the loss. I noticed that the cash out at the time was 0, so what I'd done, I just cashed out at about 10 to 8, 5 minutes after the start of the game. And it's probably lucky I did, really, because 14 minutes just before 8 o'clock, sorry, just before 8 o'clock, Plymouth scored a goal and then went on to win 2-0. So I'd actually lost that bet, so I'm actually voiding that one. I'm leaving the £2 in for the strategy 2, because if we'd got on before the game and placed the bet properly, actually to even it up, what I should really do there is put 0 in there, because I can't really compare £2 profit on that one against 0 on this one when I made a mess of the bet, made a mess of the trade. I could have easily made a mess of it, yeah. So I'll just go with the fact that we only put 9 on last night instead of 10. So you can see the profits down here. Now, if you look at this one here, the Aldringham Chesterfield game, you can see that Chesterfield were away from home, but they were the favourites. And in the 48th minute, the first goal went in, and it was to Aldringham, the underdogs. So you can see it on here. It was 0-0 at half time, so we would have jumped on that and TS1, 2 on 3 strategies. And the reason I lost 43 pence there is I just cashed out straight after that goal, because otherwise, if there was a risk that Chesterfield, being the favourites, came back in the game and it ended 1-1, in which case I would have lost £5.80 on strategy 2. As it happens, Aldringham held out, but we weren't obviously to know that. But because it was the underdogs going ahead, then the cash out profit was lower than 0, so that's the only trade we lost some money on. But as you can see, there's the differences, and I think by about 10 past 9 last night I was like sort of finished trading, tucked up in bed. Not necessarily tucked up in bed, but I'd finished trading because by 10 past 9 there'd been a goal in every game, so we'd cashed out. That was the last one there, Kidderminster, with about 20 minutes to go. So we got £1.16 out of that because the goal went in reasonably late, and it went to the home team, which was the favourites. So you would have expected, especially against 10 men Charlie, that they would have went on to win that, which they didn't, and that's why on strategy 2 we would have lost 550 there, but on strategy 3 we actually won 116. So overall the total profit was £6.53, which I'm quite happy with, because if you look at these numbers here, we're only staking £2, and if you look at a 10% return, you'd only be looking at 20 pence for each trade, and we've absolutely, if we just exclude the first one there, you can see our average there is 73 pence. Our average per trade there, those 9 trades, is 73 pence, even if you include the one we made a mess of. It's still only 65 pence. Like I say, for each of these £2, if we can get 20 pence out of each trade, then that's 10%. If we extrapolate that up to sort of £20 stakes, and we were taking out, that would have been £7.70. No, it wouldn't. Yes, it would. Sorry, yeah. Multiplying the stake from £2 by 10 up to £20. Even if we move the stake up to say £10, these figures would be times by 5, so we'd have about £30 profit there, which I don't think is too bad based on the risk we're putting in, because like you see here, we actually, strategy 3 is 110 out of 10, because the only way you lose on strategy 3 is if it's a 0-0 draw. Even then I'm going to either do something, that's the next stage really. I'm going to run this for this week. I'm going to put in the next games for tonight, run this for a week and see what the profit looks like at the end of this week, and then we're going to look at an exit strategy for 0-0s. And I've got 2 ideas at the moment: either get out on the 70th or the 75th minute and lose probably quite a high proportion of the £2 stake, which again would only be between, say, I suppose it depends on the teams, but at the end of the day you've always got a firm favourite because of the criteria we're using. So maybe we'd probably be losing anywhere between 150 and 180 if we got out in the 70th minute. If it was still 0-0 and there hadn't been a goal, but losing 150 to 180 on one of these games wouldn't have mattered too much, because we would have still been up in this number here, and also it's not losing the entire liability. I think certainly last week, not so much the first week, but we didn't have as many draws the first week. Certainly last week when we hit quite a number of draws and quite a few 0-0s as well, what killed the profit was actually losing the liability, which is this column here. You know what I mean? There's one there from last night which was £13.20 if that had ended in a draw. For strategy 2 anyway, that we were doing last week. As it happens, strategy 2 even won 9 out of 10 last night, which was pretty good compared to what we were doing last week. So we'll find out later on. The alternative to getting out in the 70th or the 75th minute, which I haven't decided yet, is to actually put like a counter bet on the 0-0. So you imagine one of these, say this Kidderminster Chorley game did actually get the 66th minute. Say 3 minutes later on the 70th minute, I could have put a back bet on the game ending 0-0, so I'd have won that bet, and it would just offset losing this 550 here. So I lost 550 there because it did end 0-0. But if I had the 5 or 10 quid, and I'd have to work out the numbers on a calculator to see what we would need to cover that loss. And that way we'd be sort of dutching the bet really. So if we lost the 550 there, we'll put a bet on to win that back on the 0-0 draw. And then obviously if the 0-0 draw doesn't come off and somebody scored, which it did do, then we win this and we lose the draw bet. But that's a couple of things I need to think about. I'll probably go with the first one first because it's simpler in that we'll just exit out and lose some money on the 70th or 75th minute. Probably start with the 75th, I think. Going at the last 15, although some of these, you'd expect some of these games, especially with a firm favourite, to like have a lot of late goals. I'd probably go back through the previous week's data and have a look to see how many late goals there have been in the last 15 minutes, the last 10 minutes, the last 5 minutes, for example, and then I can use that database what time I'm going to exit on a 0-0. So that's about it for today. I think we've done alright yesterday. It's going to be interesting when we get a few more draws, especially score draws, like the 1-1s where we would have lost on strategy 2, but we're still winning. We're still taking a profit on strategy 3. That's quite nice to see. That's not great, but at the end of the day, that was only 43 pence, which is a small percentage of the overall profit that we're up. And I'm quite happy to take those here and there. The only thing I can think there is Altrincham were at home and they scored in the 48th minute. I think if Altrincham had been away and Chesterfield were firm favourites at home, they'd be more firm favourites than they were there. I mean, you see that Chesterfield were only 1.91 there. If they'd been at home, Altrincham away, and Chesterfield had been something like 1.2 for the win at home, and then Altrincham had went ahead in, like, say, the 5th or 6th minute, and our exit strategies had come out because there's a goal scored, I think that the deficit there would have been a lot more than 43 pence, because there would have been so much more of the game remaining to for Chesterfield. For Chesterfield to make a comeback. But hopefully, during the remainder of this week, we'll get some more data on the losses we're going to make when the underdog does go ahead. But the idea is that the underdog shouldn't go ahead in that many instances, because we're actually making sure we've got a firm favourite. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this update. I'm a bit more optimistic now than I was last week about this, because, like I say, I don't mind taking the small profits here, as long as they are profits. And obviously, if you remember from last week, one thing I didn't have was these numbers, because I wasn't sitting going through the games. And that's the only other thing. There's the screen time. I obviously had to sit between sort of 7:45 onwards last night, about 9:10, making sure I cashed out. I'm doing all this manually as well, so I think the next stage is to look for some automated bot to do this on Betfair, which are available, and which I've actually started looking into them, but not ready for any kind of commitment or video yet. But that'll be the next thing, so I'll automatically get out, because obviously I had to sit doing screen time for the first time in, well, a long time. Making sure I cashed out as soon as I could after a goal went in, so these figures were accurate. I mean, these figures here are accurate because they're exactly out of my Betfair account, but I think one of them might have been the Torquay game. I got out a little bit later because I hadn't realised the goal had gone in, for example. Because some goal, you can see there we've got like goals in the 2 goals in the 13th minute, 2 in the 17th, and 1 in the 14th. So it was quite a busy few minutes where I was having to try to cash out, and if it doesn't cash out straight away, I'm to do it again. It's not all matching up, it's not all being matched, so you have to keep cashing out. But we got there, and these are the actual figures I made, so they're accurate in that respect. It's just some I would have got out a minute after the goal, and some I probably got out about 2 or 3 minutes after the goal. But you know, they don't vary by much at that point. Once the odds settle down after a goal, they're pretty static, just move by the odd tick or penny. So that's it for now. I'll get the games for today listed down. I will try and do them all for the same time. That was ideal last night, because then obviously I don't need to stagger. That was only like expected to be 2 hours worth of screen time, whereas if I get a list of games that are staggered, I'm gonna have to like spend even longer. But I'll try and get a batch of games that all start at the same time. I'm not sure what football's on tonight, to be honest. I'm just looking now. That doesn't look like a lot at all. I might not even get on anything tonight, because it's all the only games I can see. There's African Cup of Nations at the top of my screen. I can't even see. It's because it's unfortunately this week, and I might have to go into next week with strategy 3, because this week's all the it's all the World Cup qualifying playoffs. And I don't even know if there's any football next week, because I think Premiership just picked back up a week on Saturday. So we'll see from there. There might be some like lower league stuff in England that we can get on later this week or next week as well. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers now. Thanks. Bye.